The air here is thick, not just with dust, but with something else, something heavy. It presses in, a cold, silent shroud, even out here, by the rusted, leaning gates of Blackwood Manor. You can almost taste the decay, the centuries of neglect, mingling with something sharp, like ozone or fear. My breath plumes, visible proof of the biting November chill. Though the temperature sensor on my wrist reads an ambient 10 degrees Celsius, far too cold for this time of year, especially tucked away like this, sheltered from the wind. My name is Alex. For the past 5 years, I've chased shadows, debunked myths, and documented the unexplainable. I've seen enough to know that most unexplained phenomena are just that, lacking a simple explanation, not necessarily supernatural. But Blackwood Manor feels different. This isn't just an abandoned building, it's a wound on the landscape, a gaping maw of history. Locals call it the House of Whispers, though its more infamous name is tied to the Lullaby Box, a supposedly antique music box said to have belonged to the Blackwood children, long since gone. The legend says it hums a tune only certain ears can hear, a melody that lures, then twists the minds of its listeners, drawing them deeper into the manor's crumbling grasp. Pure folklore, of course, yet the sheer number of disappearances surrounding this property, always involving young people drawn to urban exploration or local legend, is unusual. Too many to be coincidence. My purpose tonight is to find that music box, to document it, to understand its alleged power or lack thereof. Check my setup. My main body camera, a rugged low-light capable unit, is strapped securely to my chest rig, its wide-angle lens providing a sweeping first-person view. A smaller infrared camera is mounted on my helmet, offering thermal and night vision overlay. On my belt, clipped within easy reach, are my compact digital audio recorder, EM field detector, and a precise temperature gauge. This is a scientific expedition, not a ghost hunt. Remind myself of that, repeatedly. I push open the creaking gates. The sound grates like bone on bone, echoing unnaturally in the stillness. A shiver snakes down my spine, a familiar chill that has nothing to do with the outside temperature. My EM meter gives a small, erratic spike, then it settles. Just static, probably from the old, rusted metal of the gate. Old, faulty wiring from the long dead power lines. I nod to myself, confirming my own rationalization. My foot falls away. The ground beneath my boots is layered with damp, decaying leaves and scattered debris. The silence here is profound, almost suffocating, broken only by the crunch of my steps. Even the usual nocturnal sounds, crickets, distant owls, are absent. It's as if the world holds its breath around Blackwood Manor. Closer to the house, the air grows heavier, colder. My breath starts to mist more frequently. The temperature gauge dips by another degree, then another. Now it reads 7 degrees Celsius. Inside, past the rotting grand doors, it will be worse. I pull my jacket tighter. This is just an old, unheated house. The logical explanation. Always the logical explanation. I force open the heavy front door, which groans like a dying beast before swinging inward. A gust of fetid air, charged with the smell of damp earth, mildew, and something else, something sickly sweet, washes over me. The main hallway stretches before me, swallowed by shadows. Moonlight filters weakly through a single shattered window at the far end, casting fragmented slivers of light onto the grimy checkerboard floor. Dust motes dance in the faint beams, appearing almost solid in the gloom. The silence here is even deeper, a suffocating blanket that seems to absorb all sound. I take my first step inside. The floorboards creak loudly under my weight, each groan amplified by the unnatural stillness. The sound echoes, and then I hear it, a faint, almost imperceptible hum. It's too low to be a draft, too steady to be the house settling. My EM meter spikes again, higher this time, then steadies on a constant low reading. My temperature gauge flashes, 5 degrees Celsius. In the exact spot where the hum seems to originate, a distinct cold spot. My first subtle sign. I activate my headlamp, cutting a narrow shaft through the pervasive darkness. It illuminates naught but more silence and shadow. I tell myself it's the old pipes, or the wind. I move deeper into the manor, my tactical boots echoing loudly on the warped wooden floors. Each step feels deliberate, intrusive, breaking the ancient silence of the house. The air grows heavier, a tangible pressure that feels almost like resistance. My headlamp cuts through the absolute blackness of the corridor, illuminating peeling wallpaper, ornate but decaying cornices, and closed doors, each a potential gateway to deeper mysteries or mundane decay. The digital audio recorder clipped to my chest rig is set to its most sensitive setting, catching every creak, every rustle of my gear. So far, nothing more than the sounds of an old house. My initial sweep of the downstairs reveals nothing out of the ordinary for an abandoned manor of this age. Shattered furniture, fallen plaster, traces of animals. I note the architectural style, the signs of wealth that would have once graced these halls. But no music box, no obvious signs of disturbance that couldn't be attributed to time or vandalism. I make my way to the grand staircase, its banisters splintered and covered in cobwebs. Ascending carefully, I can feel the house shift and groan under my weight, a living thing settling into its slumber. The second floor is a labyrinth of bedrooms and studies. The temperature here is even lower, dropping to 3 degrees Celsius. My breath forms thick clouds with every exhale. The subtle hum I noticed earlier has persisted, barely audible, a resonant frequency that seems to vibrate just on the edge of hearing. It's not constant, rather like a faint, persistent pulse in the very fabric of the house. I sweep my headlamp across the various doors, searching for any clue. A faint, sweet, almost cloying scent occasionally wafts through the stagnant air, reminiscent of old potpourri, but with an underlying note of something metallic, like old blood. I push open a door that seems partially ajar, leading into what must have been the nursery. The room is dominated by a rotting playpen in the corner, a rocking horse overturned, and faded, peeling wallpaper adorned with cheerful, long-faded animal motifs that now look grotesque in the gloom. This is where the legend places it. This is where the children were. My focus narrows. There, on a small, dust-caked table next to the rocking horse, a small, ornate wooden box. Dark, polished wood, intricately carved with what appear to be twisting vines and small, almost grotesque faces peering out from the foliage. A tiny brass key, tarnished green with age, is still inserted in its side. The Lullaby Box. My heart rate picks up, a steady thrum in my ears. I approach it slowly, camera fixed. My EM meter begins to chirp, the needle jumping erratically. It's higher than before, much higher. Then, as I reach for the box, it freezes, stuck at maximum deflection. The digital readout on the screen glitches, displaying a series of nonsensical characters. Just static. I mutter, rapping the side of the meter. Nothing, it's completely unresponsive. As I inspect the music box, my body camera briefly flickers, the image on screen distorting into a sudden burst of static before returning to normal. For a split second, I thought I saw something in the distorted static, a faint, shifting outline, but it was gone too quickly to register. My initial rationalization kicks in. Old wiring, dust in the gears of the music box, bad battery in the EM meter. I pull a fresh set of batteries from my kit, replacing them in the EM meter. Still nothing. Dead. High-tech piece of gear, completely unresponsive. I pull out my backup, a simpler analog model. It reads a fluctuating but high EM field around the music box. Well, that's Interesting, I say, my voice a little too loud in the oppressive silence. I reach for the key in the music box. It's stiff, unwilling to turn. I apply gentle pressure, then a little more, and then without me turning it, the key gives a minute, almost imperceptible click, and the box emits a single faint, high-pitched note, like a single string of a plucked harp. It resonates, then fades. My analog EM meter's needle twitches wildly for a second, then drops back to the high reading. I pull my hand back sharply. Okay, that's not normal, I murmur. It was distinct, a single note, not a breeze, not the house settling. I try to rationalize it, probably dust in the mechanism, jarred by my touch. I wipe the main camera lens with my sleeve, just in case. The air still feels thick, heavy, but for the moment, the note is silent. The box is still. Hours have passed since the first incident, the single note, the dead EM meter. My rationalizations still hold, albeit shakily. I've set up my portable light rig in the nursery now, a battery-powered floodlight illuminating the room better than my headlamp ever could, hoping to dispel some of the oppressive gloom. The music box sits in the center of the table, bathed in the artificial glow. I've meticulously examined it, carefully trying to understand its mechanism. The key is still stuck, refusing to turn. There's no apparent damage, no loose springs, no visible dust. It's just stubbornly seized. I'm hunched over my audio recorder, reviewing the playback from earlier. My own voice, the creaks of the house, the occasional crackle of static, and then at the precise timestamp of the incident, a faint, high-pitched pling, clear as day, not imagination, and beneath it a very subtle, almost subliminal hum. The same hum I felt earlier. I lean closer, adjusting the headphones. There's something else too, buried under the noise floor. A faint, airy whisper, almost like a child exhaling, or a soft, drawn-out sigh. My heart quickens. Suddenly, the music box, without any prompt, begins to play. Not just a single note, but a short, distorted, warped lullaby. The melody is fractured, a repeating sequence of 4 notes that sound off-key, like a child's broken toy. It's faint, but undeniably present, reverberating through the heavy air of the nursery. The sound is tinny, metallic, as if coming from inside the wood itself. My head snaps up. My breath catches. No! I whisper, scrambling back from the table. My body cam shifts rapidly. My analog EM meter sitting beside me screams with a high-pitched whine, its needle thrashing against the maximum limit. The light rig flickers erratically, casting jumpy shadows across the room, mimicking a stroboscopic effect. The bright light makes the shadows seem more active, dancing with a life of their own. Then, the whispers return, clearer this time. I yank my headphones off, but the sound persists. It's coming from everywhere, surrounding me. Faint, ethereal giggles, like children playing, but hollow, devoid of joy. They seem to swirl around me, moving from corner to corner of the nursery. I spin around, trying to locate the source, but there's nothing, just the dancing shadows. "Hello?" I shout, my voice cracking slightly. The warped lullaby from the music box continues its broken melody, indifferent to my fear. I glance at the rocking horse in the corner. It's swaying, gently. No one is touching it. There's no draft. The windows are sealed. My eyes dart around the immediate vicinity. Is it the floor settling? A structural issue? My mind races for a rational explanation. Just settling. Old house noises playing tricks. I mumble, but the words feel hollow, unconvincing even to myself.
Reminder: subscribe before it's too late.
My hands are trembling, just barely perceptibly, as I reach for my temperature gauge. It reads 2 degrees Celsius in the center of the room. My breath is now a steady plume of fog. A patch of frost begins to form on the window panes, visible even through the grime. The camera view on my chest rig suddenly distorts, waves of visual noise washing across the screen. The colors invert for a moment, then shift to a sickly green, then back to normal. The audio from my camera feed crackles, then a burst of white noise. It's as if something is interfering directly with the recording. I feel a growing pressure behind my eyes, a dull throb in my temples. This isn't just an old house. This isn't just faulty equipment. I try to approach the rocking horse. As I step towards it, a child's building block on the floor several feet away slides about an inch to the left. Just an inch. Almost imperceptible had I not been staring directly at the ground. It's too small to be picked up clearly by the camera, but I saw it. My heart pounds against my ribs. I back away slowly towards the door. My hands are clammy. The air is so cold now it stings my nostrils. The lullaby from the music box suddenly drops in volume, becoming a whisper again, then picks up rapidly, faster and louder than before, echoing now. The giggles return, closer, seeming to come from directly behind me. I spin around, my headlamp beam cutting a frantic arc through the dimness. Nothing. The light rig flickers one last time, violently, then dies, plunging the room back into near total darkness, illuminated only by my failing headlamp and the faint glow of the music box as its distorted melody continues. My breath hitches. I can feel the first signs of psychological strain. My attempts to rationalize are fading. This isn't settling. This is targeted. The oppressive gloom is back, heavier than ever, now that my main light source is dead. Only my headlamp and body cam's low light modes cut through the profound darkness, painting the room in a grainy, monochromatic filter. The music box continues its broken lullaby, now more sustained, weaving in and out of faint, unsettling childlike whispers. My analog EM meter, the last reliable piece of equipment, is screaming again, its needle glued to max. The air is frigid, causing my breath to bloom into dense clouds with every frantic gasp. I'm rooted to the spot, pinned by an inexplicable terror that wraps around me like an icy shroud. The rocking horse is now moving more vigorously, creaking rhythmically in the corner. Its movements are too pronounced to be self-sustaining. The faint aroma of decay and metallic sweetness is overwhelming now, burning my nostrils. Suddenly, the lullaby from the music box gains volume and clarity, cutting through the silence. It's a full melody now, distorted but recognizable. It sounds like a child singing, but with an underlying raspy quality that sends shivers down my spine. The room temperature plummets dramatically, a visible fog emanating from the floor. My breath is coming in ragged gasps. I can see the vapor condense on the camera lens. Then I see it. A distinct, childlike shadow figure darts across the far wall, incredibly quick, almost just a trick of the light, but undeniable. My head snaps to track it, but it's gone. Yet the residual image of its passing lingers, an impression of pure black absorbing the light. The objects in the nursery begin to move, not subtly now. The overturned rocking horse rights itself with a violent shudder, its legs scraping against the floorboards. A set of wooden alphabet blocks, scattered on a dusty rug, clatter against each other, then form a haphazard tower on their own, teetering precariously. My eyes are wide, fixed on the unfolding chaos. I take a step back, stumbling over my own feet, barely catching myself before I fall. Then, the old dusty porcelain doll, perched on a high shelf across the room, begins to slide. Slowly, deliberately, it scrapes its way across the dusty wood, its vacant, painted eyes fixed on the music box. It happens with an agonizing slowness, accompanied by a soft, scraping sound. The doll finally topples from the shelf, landing beside the table with a soft thud, its head turning to face the music box. It looks expectant. The whispers become coherent, not just sounds, but words. faint, ethereal, childlike voices, singing the lullaby along with the music box. It's not one voice, but several, harmonizing in an unnerving, broken chorus. Sleep, little one, rest your eyes, dream of us until we rise. The camera feed on my body rig begins to heavily distort, lines of visual snow and pixelation obscuring the view. Sounds become garbled, my own voice seeming distant and warped when I try to speak. What? What do you want? I manage to stammer, my voice cracking with fear, barely audible above the distorted melody and whispers. My GPS signal is lost. My compass spins wildly, then just twitches erratically. Useless. The remaining light from my headlamp flickers violently, then dies, plunging the room into absolute darkness. Only the failing IR vision of my body camera remains, painting the scene in a ghostly green. The music box, however, emits a faint internal glow, a sickly luminescence that illuminates the small carvings of faces on its surface, making them appear to writhe. I back into a corner, my entire body trembling uncontrollably. My breathing is shallow, ragged. This is no rational phenomenon. My carefully constructed skepticism is crumbling around me piece by agonizing piece. The reality is undeniable, terrifying. My vision swims. The walls of the nursery seem to waver, stretch, then contract. The air is so heavy, it feels hard to simply exist within it. I am utterly alone in this suffocating darkness, with eyes that watch, and voices that sing, and things that move on their own. The oppressive weight of the last hours has crushed every shred of my resolve. The world outside is struggling towards dawn, but inside Blackwood Manor it's a perpetual, suffocating twilight. The music box is relentless now, playing its corrupted lullaby on a seemingly endless loop. The melody isn't just sound, it's a physical force, vibrating through the floorboards, through my bones, distorting the very air around me. It feels like it's emanating from inside my own skull. The temperature in the nursery is now below freezing. Frost coats the floor, forming intricate, delicate patterns on the decaying wood. My breath and the mist that exudes from every surface swirl together, creating a disorienting, ghostly haze. The shadow figure is back. It stands in the doorway, no longer fleeting. It's clearer now, deeper, a void that pulls light into itself, a deeper shade of black against the already profound darkness. It's the size of a small child, but its shape is indistinct, wavering at the edges like smoke. It doesn't move quickly anymore, but slowly, inexorably, it begins to approach. Gliding across the floor, not walking, my entire body locks up, paralyzed by a primal fear. The walls of the nursery seem to warp, to breathe. They recede into infinite distance, then crash inward, threatening to crush me. Objects on the shelves appear and disappear in the periphery, briefly flickering into existence before vanishing. My mind is screaming, desperate for an escape, for a rational handle on this impossible reality. But there is none. "Dense," he says. There is none." The lullaby from the music box grows louder, impossibly loud now, as if multiple instruments have joined in. The porcelain doll, its vacant eyes seeming to glow faintly in the dark, is now perched directly on top of the music box, staring directly at my body cam. Its painted lips seem to curl into a faint, grotesque smile. Then, my main body camera sputters. The IR vision, my last link to seeing this nightmare, flickers, goes black, then briefly flashes back on showing only static, then completely inverted colors, sickening greens and purples. The recording light winks out. My digital audio recorder, which has been useless for hours, emits a high-pitched metallic shriek that pierces my ears before dying completely. The analog EM meter, my last bastion of scientific proof, glows red, then its needle snaps, breaking clean. Complete technology failure. I'm left with nothing but the chilling sound of the lullaby and the distorted, terrifying reality unfolding before my raw senses. I'm on the floor now. I don't remember falling. My knees scraped raw. My hands are tearing at my face, pulling at my hair. My breath is coming in desperate, broken gasps. I'm mumbling to myself, fragments of half-formed prayers, desperate pleas. My eyes dart around frantically, trying to reconcile the impossible. The line between reality and hallucination blurs. I feel a cold touch, distinct, icy, on my cheek. But nothing is there. I hear faint breathing right beside my ear, wet and shallow. Yet when I whip my head around, nothing. It's enough. The lullaby inside my head screams, and I realize it's no longer just the box. The lullaby is me. My own thoughts are twisting into the melody. The shadow figure is closer, closer. I can feel its cold weight, its presence, suffocating. The doll's eyes, those glassy, painted horrors, are still fixed on me, seeming to follow every desperate movement. The silence when the lullaby from the box momentarily fades is even more terrifying, filled with the echo of the melody in my mind. The lullaby, it's not just a song anymore. It's a command, a deep, insidious whisper woven into the fabric of my despair. It resonates in my bones, not as sound, but as a feeling, a compelling urge. This isn't meant for children, I realize with chilling clarity. It's meant for broken minds, for those who seek, for those who find. My vision, still flickering in the camera's failing IR, focuses on the music box. The porcelain doll, utterly still, sits atop it. And then I see something else inside the box's carved surface. Not merely reflections, but warped faces, distorted, suffering visages, then my own reflection, twisted, eyes hollowed out, skin stretched taut. The music box isn't just a conduit, it's a trap, and the entity, whatever haunts this cursed place, isn't drawing children in. It's drawing me in. It's drawing in the desperate, the curious, the unwary. I try to move. My body is stiff, heavy. I attempt to push myself away from the wall, to stumble towards the door, towards escape. But my legs fail. I collapse, my hand hitting the cold, damp floor with a sickening thud. My breath rattles in my chest. The lullaby, formerly a fractured, dissonant melody, begins to smooth out, becoming oddly melodic, almost comforting. It loses its harshness, morphing into a soft, inviting hum. What is this place? What is this entity? What does it want with the lured? Is it truly physical, or merely a corruption of the mind, a carefully crafted delusion that festers until one becomes part of its song? The answers remain maddeningly just out of reach, swallowed by the increasing darkness and the gentle, insistent tune. The camera, precariously angled from the floor where it fell, points towards the music box and the doll. They seem to glow with a faint, internal light, pulsing in time with the simplified lullaby. My arm, against all conscious will, begins to move. Slowly, hesitantly, my fingers splay out, reaching, not away from the box, towards an exit, but towards it, towards the melody, towards the doll, towards the comfort of the hum. My hand trembles, then stills, fingers outstretched, almost tenderly, as if desiring to touch the source of the insidious peace. The last, faint notes of the lullaby linger. The camera lens cracks, a spider web of lines obscuring the view. The screen goes black, utterly. A quiet, satisfied sigh echoes impossibly from the crushing silence. Then, a sustained, very low hum begins to emanate from the profound darkness, a palpable vibration against the very fabric of existence. It fades, almost imperceptibly, leaving only the sound of my ragged, shallow breaths and the absolute terrifying stillness.
If this gave you chills, like, share, and subscribe for more true horror